Hello and welcome back to The World Asleep. Find your comfortable position once more. Allow your body to grow heavy and your mind to grow light. Let your breathing find its own gentle rhythm in and out. With every exhale, let go of the shapes and sounds of the day and allow your imagination to open, to expand. Tonight, we leave the emerald humidity of the jungle for a world of a different kind of magic, a world of immense space, of breathtaking silence, and of golden, sweeping sands. Tonight, we journey to the great Sahara Desert. Picture yourself there. As the day's fierce heat begins to soften, you are standing on a high dune. The sand beneath your feet is still warm, holding the memory of the Sunday. Before you, an endless expanse of rolling, wave-like dunes stretches to the horizon. The sun begins its descent, bleeding color across the entire universe. The sky is a canvas of flame orange, deep crimson, and soft bruised violet. The light does not fade, it transforms. It gilds the western faces of the dunes, casting long, deep indigo shadows. The world is not losing light, it is gaining depth and mystery. Watch as that great star finally, tenderly, kisses the horizon. For a moment, the entire desert holds its breath, and then it is gone. A gentle sigh seems to pass through the land. Now, watch the east, as the orange fades to lavender and then to a deep, rich blue. The stars awaken, one by one, then in countless, swirling multitudes. The Milky Way reveals itself, a brilliant, star-dusted pathway across the heart of the sky. The moon, if it is here, casts a silver light so pure you can see your shadow on the sand. A slight, cool breeze whispers across the dunes, carrying the scent of dry earth, of ancient stone, of infinite space. This is the Sahara's true voice, not silence, but a profound, resonant quiet, broken only by the soft, eternal hiss of shifting sand grains, a sound like the world itself is breathing, slowly, in and out. If this vast, silent cathedral brings you peace, we invite you to join our community of dreamers. Subscribe to wander with us again, and if this journey has helped you find a moment of calm, we would be deeply grateful if you'd let us know with a like. We often wonder, what hidden corner of the world would you like to dream of next? Share your imagination with us in the comments below. Now, let us settle into this space, vaster than any building, older than any memory. Let us listen to its ancient stories. Let us begin at the very beginning, long before the sand, long before the first wind began to blow. To understand this sea of sand, we must embark on a journey not across space, but through deep, deep time. We must voyage back millions of years to a Sahara that would be utterly unrecognizable to us today. Close your eyes and let us drift back, some 5 to 7 million years. The air is not dry and crisp. It is thick and humid. The sound is not the whisper of wind, but the chorus of a million insects, the calls of strange creatures, the drip of water from massive, waxy leaves. For the Sahara, in this ancient time, was not a desert at all. It was a vast, lush, and thriving savanna, a green world crisscrossed with rivers and dotted with deep, freshwater lakes. Where dunes now stand, herds of elephants, giraffes, antelope, and hippos grazed on rich grasses. This was a land of plenty, a cradle of life under a hot but generous Sunday. How did this green paradise become the great desert we know today? The answer lies not in the sand, but in the slow, majestic dance of our planet itself. The Earth is never still. The tectonic plates, those colossal slabs of rock that form the planet's skin, were shifting. The African plate, drifting north, began its slow-motion collision with the Eurasian plate. This monumental crash, this patient, world-altering embrace, did more than push up the Alps and the Atlas Mountains. It changed the very climate of North Africa. As these mountains rose, they began to alter the wind patterns, the great atmospheric rivers that carry moisture from the oceans. The Tethys Sea, a vast ancient ocean that once separated the continents, began to close, cutting off a critical source of rain. The world was cooling and the great weather systems were shifting, but the final transformation, the final closing of the green chapter, was a cyclical story. It is tied to a slight wobble in the Earth's axis, a 41 zero-year cycle that changes the angle of the sun's rays falling on the planet. This wobble, this gentle nod of our world in the blackness of space, slowly reduced the monsoon rains that had sustained the Saharan grasslands. The lakes began to shrink, their shorelines retreating. The rivers slowed, then became streams, then became wadis, dry riverbeds that only remember water during rare, violent storms. The grasses died back, the soil lost its anchor, and the sun, the relentless, powerful sun, baked the exposed earth into a hard, cracked pavement. And then the wind arrived, the great sculptor, with no vegetation to hold it down, the finely ground rock and sediment, the legacy of ancient seabeds and eroded mountains, was lifted. The wind carried it, sorted it, and began to pile it into dunes. It was a process of unimaginable patience, a slow-motion ocean being built, grain by tiny grain, over millions of years. The sand sea we see today is just the surface. Beneath it lies the ghost of that green world. The fossilized bones of those great beasts are still there, buried deep. The water they drank, the rains that fell in that distant age, are still there too, trapped in vast underground aquifers, hidden seas of ancient water, the deepest, most secret memory of the Sahara. The desert is not empty. It is full of time. It is a library written in stone and sand, and every grain, every stone, holds a story that began long before we ever walked the earth. A story of transformation, of resilience, and of the immense, slow-moving forces that shape our world. As the last of the twilight fades and the cloak of night is drawn fully over the sky, let our mind's eye drift across the immense variety of this land. The Sahara is so much more than a mere blanket of sand. It is a complex, intricate tapestry of different landscapes, each with its own character, its own silence, its own story. The most famous of these, the image we all hold in our minds, is the great sea of sand dunes. Picture yourself standing at the edge of one of these golden oceans. These are not random piles of sand. They are works of art, sculpted by the wind, the master artist. The wind composes these dunes into different forms. Some are Barchan dunes, elegant crescents that travel slowly across the desert floor, their curved horns pointing downwind like a fleet of silent golden ships sailing across a stone sea. Others are transverse dunes, long wave-like ridges that run perpendicular to the wind, creating a seemingly endless, rolling ocean of sand. And the most majestic of all, the star dunes, colossal, pyramidal mountains of sand that rise hundreds of feet into the air, anchored in place by winds that blow from many different directions, their ridges sharp against the night sky. But the erg, for all its beauty, covers only a small part of the Sahara. Vastly more common is the Reg, a vast flat desert pavement of pebbles and gravel from which all the sand and dust has long been blown away by the wind. Walking on a Reg is like walking on a mosaic of 1,000,000 polished stones, a natural mosaic that has been smoothed and varnished to a dark, glossy sheen by the sun and wind over millennia. It is a stark, minimalist landscape where the horizon stretches forever in a perfect, unbroken line. Then there is the Hamada, a high, rocky plateau. This is the skeleton of the desert, the ancient bedrock laid bare. The Hamada is a world of shattered rock, of barren, wind-scoured plateaus that speak of an unimaginable age. The heat here is intense, the sun reflects off the dark stone, and the silence is absolute and heavy. This is the domain of stone and sky, and nothing else. And yet, even here, in the most unforgiving places, life finds a way. Hidden in the depths of the desert are the oases. These are not mirages, they are miracles. They occur where the ancient fossil water, the water from that green, forgotten age, finds a weakness in the rock and pushes its way to the surface, or lies close enough for the roots of date palms to drink deeply. An oasis is an explosion of sound and colour in a world of silence and earth tones. The sound of rustling palm fronds, the chirping of birds, the cool, shocking green of the vegetation, the precious, life-giving blue of the water. For millennia, oases have been the stepping stones of the desert, the vital crossroads where caravans stop, where cultures meet, where life gathers around a liquid jewel. This is the true Sahara, a land of stunning contrasts, from the soft, shifting curves of the erg to the hard, eternal certainty of the Hamada, to the sudden, joyful gift of the oasis. It is a landscape that teaches resilience and rewards a patient, observant eye. To exist in the Sahara is to live by the rhythms of elemental forces, of heat and cold, of wind, and, very occasionally, of water. The climate here is a story of extremes, a daily cycle of profound transformation. Let us experience a full day, from the cool of this very night to the heat of the day that has now passed. The desert's most defining characteristic is the sheer intensity of the Sunday. From the moment it crests the horizon, its light is unforgiving, direct, a palpable force that pours down from a sky bleached of colour. There is no humidity to soften its blow, no cloud to offer a moment's respite. The temperature climbs and climbs until by midday the air shimmers and dances over the sand and stone. The heat is a physical presence. It presses down on you, and the world becomes a furnace. In the deep desert, temperatures of 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, are not uncommon. The sand itself can become too hot to touch. This heat creates the desert's most famous illusion, the mirage. It is not a trick of a thirsty mind, but a simple trick of physics. The superheated air just above the sand becomes less dense than the cooler air above it, bending light rays. This creates a shimmering, quivering image of what looks like water, a distant, beckoning lake that forever retreats as you approach. It is the desert's gentle, if cruel, joke. But as we are experiencing now, the story does not end with the setting of the Sunday. With no cloud blanket to trap the day's heat, it radiates back out into the vastness of space with astonishing speed. The temperature plummets. The same place that was a scorching oven mere hours ago can become cold, sometimes dipping to near freezing. To sleep in the desert is to understand this cycle intimately, to feel the warmth of the day slowly leave the sand beneath you until you are wrapped in the cool, crisp embrace of the night air. It is a daily lesson in letting go. Then, there is the wind. It is the desert's breath and its sculptor. Most of the time, it is a gentle breeze, a constant, soothing whisper that traces patterns on the dune tops. But it can also awaken in fury. The simoom is a sudden, violent, scorching wind that can rise without warning. It carries with it a wall of fine dust and sand that blots out the sun, turns day into an eerie orange twilight, and fills every crevice, every pore. To be caught in a simoom is to be blinded and choked, to understand the raw, untamable power of this place. And sometimes, very rarely, the wind brings not dust, but rain. Rain in the Sahara is an event of biblical proportion. The sky, which is so often an empty, bleached blue, gathers dark, dramatic clouds. The rain does not fall gently. It arrives in a torrential, violent downpour. The hard-baked earth cannot absorb it. So the water rushes across the surface, gathering in furious torrents in the wadis, the dry riverbeds. These flash floods are incredibly powerful and dangerous, carving new channels and carrying everything before them. But this violence brings life. Within days, sometimes hours, of a rain, the desert explodes in a phenomenon known as a superbloom. Seeds that have lain dormant for years, decades, suddenly germinate. The barren ground is carpeted in a stunning rush of wildflowers, a fleeting, breathtaking celebration of life before the sun returns and the land returns to its golden slumber. It is the desert's secret, a promise of resilience hidden just beneath the surface. And above it all, in the immense black velvet of the night sky, another celestial fire dances. The aurora is not common here, but on rare, perfect nights, the polar lights can be seen faintly shimmering on the northern horizon, a silent, green and purple veil dancing to a solar rhythm. It is a reminder that the desert, for all its isolation, is still connected to the entire cosmos, part of a grand, beautiful, and mysterious system far greater than itself. In this world of extreme elements, where water is a distant memory held deep in the earth, the very notion of plant life seems like a contradiction, and yet life persists. It does not dominate here, it whispers, it adapts. It survives through a series of breathtakingly clever and beautiful strategies. The most iconic sentinel of the Saharan oasis is the date palm. This is not merely a tree, it is the very bedrock of human life in the desert. Its tall, slender trunk rises like a pillar, crowned with a shock of green fronds that rustle with a sound like gentle rain. A precious sound here. Its roots dive deep, searching for the hidden water tables. And its gift, the sweet, energy-rich date, is a perfect food. It can be dried and stored for years, a vital source of nutrition for nomadic peoples on their long journeys. The date palm provides shade, food, fuel, and building materials. It is an entire ecosystem in itself, a symbol of life and hospitality in the vast, unforgiving expanse. But beyond the oases, in the true wilderness, the plants must be far more cunning. The acacia tree is a master of this art. Its roots spread wide and shallow to capture the faintest hint of moisture from a rare dewfall or a brief shower before it evaporates. To protect its precious leaves from the hungry mouths of animals, it has grown long, sharp, vicious thorns, a fortress of spikes guarding its life-giving greenery. And yet, It offers a gift, its seeds carried in delicate pods, a food source for those who can navigate its defenses. Then there are the true magicians of the plant world, the ones that have learned to hide from the Sunday. The resurrection plant is a humble, unassuming brown tumbleweed for most of its life. It appears to be utterly dead, a dry, brittle ball of twigs, but it is merely waiting. It can survive for years in this dormant state, losing up to 95% of its moisture. But when the rain finally comes, it performs its miracle. It unfurls, turns a vibrant green, photosynthesizes furiously, and reproduces, all within a matter of days. Then, as the water vanishes, it curls back into its dormant ball, waiting, sometimes for years, for the next fleeting chance at life. Many plants avoid the sun not by hiding, but by reducing their exposure. They have no leaves, or tiny waxy leaves that minimize water loss. The cactus stores water in its thick, fleshy stem, which is also ribbed to expand and contract like an accordion, depending on how much water it is holding. Its spines are modified leaves, serving to protect its watery treasure and to provide a tiny bit of shade against the scorching Sunday. And some plants live their entire lives in a frantic rush. The ephemerals. They exist only as seeds, tiny time capsules of potential buried in the sand. They can wait for decades, patient, listening to the weather through the soil. Only when a significant rain falls, a rain that promises enough moisture to complete their life cycle, do they germinate. They grow with astonishing speed, flower in a brilliant, beautiful blaze of color, set their seeds, and die, all within a few short weeks. They leave their legacy buried in the sand once more, a promise to the future, a fleeting dream of color in the golden sea. These plants do not compete. They cooperate with the harshness of the desert. They are masters of patience, of storage, of illusion. They teach us that life is not always about abundance, but about efficiency and the profound wisdom of waiting for the right moment. As the deep darkness of the true night envelops us, the actors of the day retreat. The diurnal lizards seek shelter from the cooling air, and a new cast of characters emerges. The Sahara is never empty. It is shift work. The animals here are specialists, each one a marvel of evolutionary adaptation, perfectly tuned to the rhythms of heat, cold, and scarcity. The most famous of all, the ship of the desert, is the dromedary camel. Its legend is earned. Every part of it is designed for this life. Its long, slender legs keep its body high off the scorching sand. Its thick eyelashes and sealable nostrils protect it from blowing sand during a simoom. Its feet are wide, soft pads that prevent it from sinking into the sand. And of course, its hump. It is not a canteen of water, but a larder of energy, a dense mass of fat that can be metabolized for both energy and water. A camel can lose a quarter of its body weight in water and not suffer, a feat that would be fatal to almost any other mammal. It is a creature of immense patience and endurance, a living testament to a partnership with humans that has made desert travel possible for millennia. But for every camel, there are 1,000 smaller, more secretive lives. Listen for a soft, skittering sound on the sand. That is the fennec fox, no larger than a small cat. Its most striking feature are its enormous, bat-like ears. Those ears are radiators, filled with blood vessels that help dissipate the desert heat. But they are also the most sensitive listening devices, able to hear the faintest movement of insects or small rodents buried deep beneath the sand. Its thick, sandy-colored fur insulates it from the cold of the night and reflects the heat of the day. It is a ghost, a beautiful, elusive spirit of the dunes. And then there are the masters of the ambush, the Deathstalker scorpion. Its name sounds fearsome, and its venom is potent, but it is not the mindless killer of legend. It is an ancient, efficient predator. It glows a haunting, ethereal blue-green under ultraviolet light, a secret sign we can only see with special tools. It spends the day buried in the cool sand, emerging at night to hunt. It uses the sensitive hairs on its pincers to detect the vibrations of a passing beetle or cricket, striking with lightning speed. It is a reminder of the desert's sharp edges, a creature of potent beauty and potent danger. High above, a silent shadow might pass across the stars. A pharaoh eagle owl. This majestic bird is a supreme nocturnal hunter. Its feathers are specially fringed to allow for utterly silent flight, so it can hear the precise location of its prey. A gerbil, a jerboa scurrying below. Its eyes are large, capable of seeing in near total darkness, and its distinctive ear tufts help it to pinpoint the faintest of sounds. And beneath the sand itself, an entire world exists. The jerboa, a tiny rodent with kangaroo-like legs, hops frantically across the sand, escaping predators and the heat of the day by diving into its cool, subterranean burrow. The sandfish skink does not swim in water, it swims through the sand itself, using its sleek body and shovel-shaped snout to dive and navigate beneath the surface as if it were water. This is the great secret of the Sahara's fauna. So much of its life is hidden, nocturnal, or subterranean. It is a world of listeners and waiters. They have learned to conserve energy, to stay out of the sun, to find moisture in the most unlikely of places. They do not fight the desert. They have become a part of it. Their lives are a delicate, intricate dance on the edge of survival, a dance they have perfected over millions of years. We are not the first to find ourselves beneath this immense, starry sky, feeling the cool sand between our fingers. For thousands of years, humans have not only survived in this formidable land, but have woven themselves into its very fabric, becoming as much a part of the desert as the dunes themselves. Ours is a relatively recent presence, a blink in the geological eye, but our story here is one of incredible ingenuity, resilience, and adaptation. Let your mind drift back over 5,000 years to a time when the desert was already dry, but not yet the absolute barrier we imagine. The first evidence of human presence here is not one of struggle, but of flourishing. The Garamantes, a sophisticated civilization in what is now Libya, built a network of underground tunnels and canals, fogaras or kanats, to tap into the fossil water trapped deep beneath the Hamada. They created a green and powerful kingdom in the heart of the desert, a testament to human engineering and a deep understanding of the hidden resources of the land. But the true architects of desert life, the ones whose spirit is most deeply intertwined with the Sahara, are the nomadic peoples. The most famous of these are the Tuareg, often called the blue men of the desert, for the indigo dye of their traditional robes that sometimes stains their skin. They are not conquerors of the desert, they are its partners. Their entire culture, their knowledge, is a map of how to live with this world, not against it. Their life is organized around the rhythm of the seasons, the location of water, and the needs of their animals. They are masters of wayfinding, reading the stars, the wind patterns on the dunes, the subtle changes in the color of the sand, to navigate a sea with no landmarks. Their social structure is egalitarian and deeply respectful. They are renowned for their hospitality, a sacred duty in a land where to refuse a traveler water and shelter is to sentence them to death. The offering of sweet, potent tea 3 times, the first bitter as life, the second strong as love, the third sweet as death, is a ritual of welcome, of time taken, of connection. For centuries, the lifeblood of the Sahara was not water, but trade. The great trans-Saharan trade routes were the internet of their age, vast networks of commerce and culture that connected the Mediterranean world with sub-Saharan Africa. Imagine the sight: a caravan of 1,000, 2,000 camels moving in a single, slow-moving line across the ocean of sand. These were the ships that carried salt from the mines of Tagaza, where the buildings themselves were made of salt blocks, south to Timbuktu and beyond. And they returned north laden with gold, ivory, spices, and slaves. This trade did not just move goods, it moved ideas, it moved languages, it moved religions. It built legendary cities like Timbuktu, which became a radiant center of Islamic scholarship and learning, its libraries filled with priceless manuscripts, a beacon of knowledge in the wilderness. The desert was not a void, it was a bridge, a harsh, demanding, and dangerous bridge, but a bridge nonetheless, upon which empires rose and fell. The legacy of these desert dwellers is not found in great stone pyramids, but in a deeper, more subtle knowledge. It is in the names of every well and every subtle pass in the land. It is in the intricate patterns woven into their textiles and etched into their leather goods, patterns that tell stories and map landscapes. It is a legacy of freedom, of movement, of a profound understanding that the true wealth of the desert is not in conquering it, but in knowing how to listen to it. In a land this vast, this ancient, and this powerful, the line between the physical world and the world of story, of spirit, is incredibly thin. The desert has always been a fertile ground for the imagination. When you are alone, a single, tiny consciousness under a billion stars, with only the wind for company, it is easy to feel the presence of other things, older things, things that watch from the corners of your vision. The indigenous cultures of the Sahara do not see a barren wasteland. They see a world, alive with consciousness. Every dune, every rock formation, every lonely acacia tree has its own spirit, its own story. This is a world populated by Djinn. In the Islamic and broader Arabian tradition, the Djinn are not the genies of Western fairy tales. They are beings created from smokeless fire, a concept that fits the desert's mirages and heat hazes perfectly. They are like humans. They can be good or evil, merciful or vengeful. They are the explanation for the sudden, unexplained sounds in the night, for the strange, shifting shapes seen from the corner of an eye, for a traveler who becomes lost and disoriented for no reason. To speak of them respectfully is a way to appease them, to acknowledge that we are visitors in a realm they call home. Then there are the legends of lost cities. The most famous is the city of Zerzura, the oasis of the little birds. Tales say it is a white city, hidden somewhere in the vastness of the Libyan desert, its gates carved with a bird symbol. It is said to be filled with treasure and asleep, waiting for a brave enough traveler to find it and awaken its inhabitants. For centuries, explorers have searched for it, some never returning. It is the desert's ultimate lure, a promise of glory and mystery that may be just over the next dune. There are also stories of giants and ancient monsters. The Tenere giant, a mysterious rock formation that once stood alone in the sea of sand for hundreds of miles, was said by the Tuareg to be the marker of a giant's grave. Other tales speak of enormous sandworms or serpents that could swallow a camel whole. perhaps a cultural memory of a time when great reptiles did, in fact, roam this land. But the most powerful stories are not of monsters, but of metaphors. The desert itself is the greatest myth. It is a place of trial and purification. In countless stories, from many cultures, a hero or a prophet must venture into the desert to face their demons, to be stripped of all comfort and vanity, and to return transformed with wisdom and clarity. The desert is the great simplifier. It reduces life to its essentials: water, shelter, and the will to continue. The visions one sees in the desert, whether holy or hallucinatory, are born from this profound simplicity. These myths and legends are not mere superstitions. They are a vital form of knowledge. A story about a vengeful Djinn that haunts a particular well is also a practical warning to avoid that well, which might be poisoned or have collapsing walls. A legend about a lost city guards the truth that the desert is perilous and can claim the unprepared. The stories are a map, a moral code, and a way of explaining the unexplainable power and mystery of this immense, beautiful, and terrifying land. They are the soul of the Sahara, whispered on the wind for all who care to listen. As our night journey begins to wane, and the first, faintest hint of a lighter blue begins to soften the eastern horizon, it is time, with a gentle and honest heart, to speak of the challenges that brush against this ancient world. The delicate balance of the Sahara, perfected over millions of years, is now facing changes that are rapid and profound. The most pressing of these is desertification. This is not the natural, cyclical expansion and contraction of the desert that has always occurred. This is the accelerated degradation of productive land on the desert's edges, the Sahel, into barren, non-productive land. It is a process like a slowly tightening knot. It is driven by a combination of factors: climate change, which brings more frequent and severe droughts, and human activity, such as overgrazing by livestock, the clearing of scarce vegetation for firewood, and the overuse of fragile soils for agriculture. As the plant life vanishes, the soil loses its anchor. The wind then does its ancient work, but now with a new and destructive speed, lifting the precious topsoil and carrying it away, leaving behind only sterile ground. It is a quiet, creeping crisis that displaces communities, threatens food security, and slowly, inexorably, enlarges the sea of sand. For the nomadic peoples, this is a catastrophe that strikes at the heart of their ancient way of life. Their traditional migration routes are severed, the wells they have relied on for generations run dry, the pastures that sustained their herds vanish. They are faced with an impossible choice: abandon a culture and identity thousands of years old, or watch their animals, their wealth, and their children suffer. Many are forced to settle on the outskirts of growing cities, their profound knowledge of the desert becoming a memory, a story with no place left to be lived. And yet, even in the face of this, there is hope, there is resilience. All across the Sahel, incredible efforts are underway to hold back the sand. One of the most remarkable is the Great Green Wall Initiative, an ambitious African-led project to grow an 80-kilometer mosaic of trees, grasslands, and sustainable land use practices across the entire width of the continent. It is not a literal wall of trees, but a rejuvenation of the land itself. Local communities are leading the charge, using ancient and modern techniques to capture water, restore soil, and regrow vegetation. It is a testament to human ingenuity and a fierce determination to protect their homes. Within the desert itself, new challenges emerge. Modern mining operations dig vast pits in search of oil, natural gas, phosphates, and uranium. These bring economic opportunity, but also the risk of pollution, the disruption of ancient underground water channels, and the scarring of landscapes that have remained untouched for eons. Tourism, too, is a double-edged sword. It brings economic benefit and a chance for the world to appreciate the desert's beauty, but uncontrolled, it can leave behind a trail of litter, damage fragile ecosystems, and turn sacred spaces into mere attractions. The story of the modern Sahara is a complex tapestry of challenge and adaptation. It is a reminder that no place on Earth, no matter how remote or ancient, exists in isolation from the global community. The fate of the desert and the fate of the people and creatures who call it home is now, more than ever, intertwined with our own. Their resilience teaches us a powerful lesson, that the most powerful force against the relentless advance of the desert is not a wall, but a root, a seed of hope, carefully planted, patiently nurtured, and fiercely protected. And so, the time has come for us to take our leave. The stars above us are beginning to fade, their brilliant, sharp points softening in the gathering dawn. The deep indigo of the night sky is now giving way to a soft, delicate palette of lavender and rose, and a gentle, watery blue on the horizon. Look out across the dunes one last time. In this twilight hour, the desert reveals its truest self. The long shadows make every grain of sand, every ripple, seem profound and eternal. The air is at its coolest and stillest. It is a moment of perfect, profound peace. We have journeyed together across this immense landscape. We have traveled back through millions of years, from a green world to a sea of sand. We have marveled at the resilience of life, from the hidden seeds to the patient camel. We have walked with the ghosts of ancient traders and listened to the whispers of Djinn in the wind. We have understood the delicate balance of this world and the challenges it now faces. But the overwhelming feeling, the lasting impression, is one of awe. The Sahara does not ask for our pity. It does not ask for our conquest. It asks only for our respect. It is a place that reminds us of our own smallness in the grand scale of time and space. And in doing so, it is incredibly freeing. All our worries, our anxieties, they are small things here. They are carried away on the wind and lost in the immense, silent, accepting presence of the dunes. As the first sliver of the sun finally breaks the horizon, painting the western faces of the dunes in a blinding, fiery gold, the day shift begins to stir. But you, dear listener, your journey is inward, toward rest, toward sleep. So let this image be your anchor. Picture yourself not as a visitor, but as a part of this landscape. You are as natural here as the stone, as patient as the acacia tree, as resilient as the hidden seed. The sun's warmth on your skin is the same sun that has warmed this sand for 1 billion years. The breath in your lungs is part of the same air that moves over this vast expanse. Carry the silence of the desert with you into your dreams. Not an empty silence, but a full, rich, alive silence. The silence of space and time and acceptance. Let your breathing become slow and deep, like the shifting of the sands over millennia. Let your heartbeat become steady and calm, like the patient pulse of the ancient earth itself. You are safe. You are supported. You are home. The desert dreams with you. Rest now. Sleep well.